and they get in a pipe that goes immediately to the end. Nope. Because they pipe that it goes immediately to end, but then they have to go back anyways, and they have to play forwards. That's what I was expecting. But not that.
Well, this is a World 1 that you have to play 2 additional stages in, so not the worst, but definitely not too much better. HUmanMustard getting sprite limited here, and oh, Cavin taking the death to the paratrooper, that's rough. It's a very awkward start there. I know exactly what he was going for, but man, that paratrooper just denied entirely.
Yeah, you know, yeah, the ones that fly sideways like that, they are funny. Just having the ability to, they don't care about walls or anything that you're dealing with. So, yeah, if you're not really knowing how far they're going to be moving left or right, yeah, some silly catches like.
So here's one we didn't see last time, one thought. I can guarantee HUmanMustard will not be going for the item here, because with the way the lock is, you'll have to do an extra stage if you go for that item. So you're basically treating it as if it's a cloud that you're going to use immediately by not getting it. Because the thing with World 1 is, the World 1's fault is that it has to account for you getting the item and therefore not breaking the lock in order to not soft lock you out of the seat. So you can tell when it shows up, like if it's going to be necessary in multiple fort worlds. So stuff like in World 6, it usually makes the bridge with that little pipe bit and whatnot. So weird,
absolutely. It's definitely, and definitely one of the tricky little hand level for the beginning there, especially because you get all these earthquake bros.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, the World 6 play sometimes being really interesting because if you could see that bridge early and
and Cavin gets hit by exactly the same thing. Ouch. It is hammer suits that come out of those though, so that's pretty good, but yeesh.
Yeah, so good item, obviously coming out of the hand levels there, and a nice item right there from the hammer bro. You know, this is one you pretty much can't avoid. Definitely if you don't have a music box here, but we'll see. Cavin just taking another hit because the big boy. Oi.
Yeah, he's the sledge bro's got him on got the reads on him as well. Yeah, he's frazzled at this point.
He might even take a death. No,
I don't think
now he's risking it because he gains. You know, he's not gonna. I was gonna say he's not gonna lose any progress here because he has the lock unlocked. But you don't like to see that.
It's tough because there's been no chance of getting any power-ups before going in here, and this definitely is a very, very difficult stage to do. Even with Firebros and such, I don't blame him clouding it. Obviously, we know that's going to hurt a decent bit in the long run, because now he's both a cloud behind and a hammer suit behind. But he needs to get going. There's no real way around it. He took about 5 deaths to that stage. He really just needs to get motoring with it, so I don't blame him at all. And he definitely should take this as well. Okay.
Making up for losing the hammer suit a little bit. And as we saw last seed, you know, early items, they could mean very little. You could, you know, Peach just might drop you a hammer suit right before World 8 anyways, that sort of thing. So we'll see going forward. It looks like a star out of this first one, so a little bit of resource. Having a star in some of these areas, especially if you're just trying to get through a hammer bro that's in your way. Nice.
It is interesting that he went straight forward, but just using the Fire Flower there, even though Larry is not the most difficult of Koopalings to go with under just about any circumstance, it is understandable given what has just happened to him. You know, it's the last thing you want is to die to this Koopaling as well. Oh, I hate that Crazy Foot. That stupid Crazy Foot always just goes in random directions. No, HUmanMustard.
Yeah, and Mustard just kind of clipped the block as he was making that jump through the thwomp, and that just takes your momentum away enough. And of course, the boo had to be there as well to ruin that. So yeah, unfortunate. And gonna take the down route. First time we're gonna see the down route on this fort.
Yeah.
And get the star for his troubles. Luckily small. So the interesting thing with having a star is when you're doing pipe navigation, if you're anything but small Mario, it's gonna be probably a negative, as you're not able to actually travel up through a pipe as you're doing those front flips. Small Mario doesn't have that problem because it doesn't do that animation. And if you get P-speed while being a big Mario version, then your animation changes anyways, and so you're able to get up the pipe. But always interesting to see that one, how people will deal. If Cavin goes down here and deals with the star, let's see how that works. But I imagine staying up.
Ooh, he does get the jump slide there, though.
Yeah, so navigated that well the first race, so and then just kind of barely missed that one right there. But Cavin's shown to have some good routing here for that early section in the.
Yeah, it's one thing I didn't really mention enough, I think. We did mention a few times showing Cavin's exceptional strats here, but there were definitely quite a few levels in the first race that Cavin did faster than HUmanMustard. This is not one-sided in the slightest, and it's always good to see just what different players get. He gets 2 extra lives from the hammer burr there. That's not too bad. Okay, so this World 4 wasn't the worst overall. You had to do both forts, but in reality, that's +2 levels. It's really not that bad. This boss bass is not the greatest of spots. 6-1 is always a hot spot for him, so you kind of expect it. Unless it's not the first enemy, then you don't always expect it, and people get eaten by that. But it's fine. True. Yeah, and where 4F1 comes in, 4F2 is usually bound to follow, so no real shocks to see that there. Great fire kill for HUmanMustard on that side too, and we can just move on to the end. Despite the difficulties here, Cavin is only like a stage behind. It's really not that far-fetched to think that, we could see a lead change in the next world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really, as much as it was taking those 4 or so deaths there on that hand level in World 1, they were relatively quick deaths, if that means anything. And if Mustard takes a death in a really long fort or at the end of an airship or something like that, that's absolutely enough time to almost make this completely even between these two guys. As Mustard finishes off his fight, you got Cavin entering the airship right there. So yeah, still right there. Absolutely going to be a race going forward, and routing can make a difference as well.
Not quite getting the flyover. One thing I've quickly wanted to note there is Cavin's overworld movement. You saw he kind of paused a little bit on the overworld. That was because he was holding the button down so he could do the rest of the transitions much faster. Usually you only see that when the screen scrolls, so that you don't have to worry about that. But if you are traversing a long portion of the map, it can be faster rather than tapping every time.
Yeah, Shadowcat in chat there. Yeah, not an all forts race, but forts play a very pivotal role throughout this race, as one of the flags that we had previously allowed for hammers to do an additional function, which was break locks, which actually really opens up their usefulness and kind of routing you could have. Now that's not the case, and you have to play forts to break locks. You also have to always play and beat forts to build bridges. So there's almost always going to be required forts as you're going through these worlds.
Interesting play from both here, neither of them taking the fort that's at the very start. There is a visible lock that if they don't have a hammer for the pipe, they are 100% going to have to break. One of these 2 forts will need to do it, but the other one could break at the break a thing at the very end of the world. So it's interesting just to see both of them skip by. And this is Cavin's going to catch up almost all of the time here because he comes into this stage with the leaf.
Going right a little bit, just kind of going into that automatic hold right mode. Sometimes it happens to all of us, basically. Like, where am I? Oh yeah, this fort. I gotta go left now. Okay. And yeah, Cavin right there now. the cloud still being a factor, though. Cavin had used his, and I don't believe Mustard's used his yet. So,
this is definitely an interesting layout. We are going to see the pipe. Oh, pipe just goes straight there. Okay.
ouch.
So, not very useful, to say the least. So one fort in this world has to make the bridge, so they both made the right play here, actually, because we see the third lot, basically. There is always a bridge to build at the top of the middle of this world. So, yeah, and here's one where Cavin is definitely much more adept in the P-Speed strats here. Granted, you can't really do the P-Speed strats with a Tanuki tail, but that's why Cavin lost it on purpose. So, that catches him up a little bit again.
Yeah, so forts will actually, because of the map layout and where levels and pipes and forts are placed, you have no idea which fort is going to do what, unless it's one fort, in which you know that it's not going to be completely vital for you beating the world. It might help you give a shortcut of sorts, but it won't actually be necessary to beat one fort to beat a world.
That's interesting. What do you think about Mustard taking the damage there to lose the tail in this one?
I would immediately have flown up instead and kept it. But yeah, I mean, unless you're going for the clips, I would see that, but that wasn't going to be his play either, so not too sure. Maybe indecisive on that decision, then just decide to go up it.
So 7-9 is definitely one of those levels that you would like to use the cloud on. I think the main reason Mustard didn't is because he already, kind of how we were talking about the anchor stuff before, he already had a Tanuki coming in here. So it would take a long time to lose that power-up, and it kind of diminishes the returns you would get.
Yeah, that's a great point. Having an easily accessible way to get yourself out of a level through a death is actually could be important in being able to.
When did Cavin get the second cloud? Was that off a hammer bro that Mustard didn't do?
Ooh, it might have.
Because that puts him ahead at the moment.
And yeah, and Cavin shoots straight ahead, takes his pipe, and yeah, already in the airship. That is actually, yeah, that's a crazy one. I wish I had caught that. Yeah, it looks like could have absolutely been that hammer bro.
Yeah, because HUmanMustard didn't do either of them there, so... Oh, and just a one hit for Lemmy too, that's fantastic. This is one of the worst airships to fight him if you don't get the kill on the right-hand side, because he is basically untouchable on the left-hand side there. He does swing back and forth a bit, you can sometimes hit him when he swings to the right, but for the most part, he just disappears, and you have to wait for ages, and it's really annoying.
Yeah, you get that small little 3 Mario wide gap that you could hit him right there, but generally, yeah, you wanna try to take care of him on the right side. Absolutely.
Why'd it have to be that line from the king in the ice world? Alright, so another interesting World 5. That giant Kuma didn't know what was going on. Just 3-8 coming in. I actually always forget there's a power up there that you can use the block on, because I always chuck the block at the boss bass or whatever next enemy is coming up. But anyway, there's a fort, the tan fort there, as people call it, the orange one, will make the bridge that will go over to the other side of this opening bit. So it's the way in this world right now, at the very least, is the blue fort will always break the lock. But we're gonna have to do about 4 stages to start this one off. So
yeah, that lock is the blue fort essentially being useless. You're already going to be up in sky anyways by the time you have the ability to even play the blue fort. So yeah, they're going to have to go around. They're going to be playing
5 levels. Yeah. So the one nice thing, potentially, it really depends on what the layout at the top is. The other pipe set is also up the top. So it's plausible that even if they can't directly go to the end, they might be able to straight away get to a pipe that goes to the end at the top. So there's some funky layouts that can happen at the top because there's 3 pipes, and two of them connect to each other. Ooh, and 7-1. Alright, so this will be advantage Cavin in terms of trying to get the clip. It's a lot easier to do. Third try, too. Really good.
Yeah, very nice.
It's a lot easier to do without the tail. It's definitely possible with it, though, so HUmanMustard could still get it here. It's just a lot more precise because your jump is a little bit different. Third try as well! That's incredibly impressive.
Very nice.
Let's see, 7-3 over here. Bit of a weird stage, because there's a lot of enemies that get randomized at the start, and it's supposed to be a star run in vanilla, but obviously not the case here. And then you've got a lot of P-speed stuff that you can do here at the end, depending on what your power-up state is like. So we're going to see a bit more of a slow-paced one, double Power Goomba at the end. That probably would have tripped me up.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's kind of one of those things. If you don't hit this initial line that a mustard's about to go through, yeah, and they both kind of hit the that pipe right there. You lose P-speed before you get to the end, and yeah, it kind of throws.
So 1-1, deceptively difficult stage. This one, that was a spicy dodge right there. I like it.
I think everybody's learning how to dodge fire nippers now, because that was another one, and we saw Mustard do it in the prior race here. Yeah, very nicely navigated.
I guess that's something I have to work on for the next round then, isn't it?
It's you do everything you don't want to, which is run straight at it.
Yep.
Then you stop, basically. That.
So nice to get a mushroom back here as well. It's always good, even if it's just a basic power-up, it's always good to have the little things to make sure that you're safe here. And yeah, this doesn't really work out as far as skipping stuff here, because you'd have to do a level to get to the pipe to skip a level. So it doesn't really work out this time. But you can see where the tower is here. That's one part of being able to skip multiple levels in this top part. Whoa,
yeah.
HUmanMustard's a really interesting position for the Hammerbird there, not having to fight it.
And look at that. Look at the sink. Oh, glorious.
Now this is where actually having the tail is a bit of a disadvantage, because you saw HUmanMustard was able to do P-speed strats there, but being small was a bigger disadvantage because he wasn't able to get through the end quickly. So, very interesting dynamics going on here, and this is what we want to see, like the lead change happening for it, and having done one less stage, I guess, HUmanMustard didn't have the 1-up at the end, so this is a really interesting one to see from Cavin. Yeah, gotta be careful though.
So yeah, both big Mario going into bars. Yeah, this is pretty much exactly what we had with these guys before. A lot of lead changes, and yeah, just some nice sync here. The one interesting thing, as Gamer Cal pointed out right there, is the ability to cross right through the spiral fort right there, and because it acts essentially like a pipe, which was very interesting. Don't really know that until we actually ended up doing the randomizer and having it be anywhere, because usually it's kind of just tucked into the little bottom section right there. You never would ever actually go past it.
Right, as Roy just gets blasted away, no problem. I did notice Cavin used a bullet bill and went on top of the World 1 airship there, which is interesting. Actually, I hadn't thought about that, because I'm so used to just not bouncing high off of any of the artillery. So, that's a pretty neat one. Can also get P-speed if you run along the bottom as well, if you don't get the power-up, but it's probably easier just to get a full jump from the top.
Yeah, and a great point being brought up in chat there. While Cavin does have the lead right now, he has used that extra cloud that Mustard's still hanging on to, and as someone also brought up before, sometimes you just don't find an opportunity to actually use the cloud. So it'll be interesting going forward what levels they run into, if there's like an automatic cloud play that Mustard's able to use, or if he actually ends up just kind of holding on to it, and it doesn't play as much of a factor.
I already hate this World 3, by the way. We've got a 5-level gauntlet if we don't have double hammer, and that's not even clearing a fort. I already hate this World 3. HUmanMustard having the power-up advantage, definitely getting through much easier there. The Power Goomba, I think that Power Goomba actually killed me in one of my races versus Wycos that Cavin got hit by at the start there. So, and not letting up here with 2-3. 2-3 with the rare enemy set too. This is
that's
easily one of.
nasty.
Like, what even is that? And the fire, of course, there's a fire dipper as well.
Yeah, and that's actually I see this very commonly. If you get those, if you get those piranhas, if you get the ones that shoot the spike straight up, you almost always get nippers throughout it.
What is this?
Yeah, this is a nasty, nasty enemy set.
This is what I refer to as the rare enemy set, because it, like, you never, as you've said, you never see these outside of being with each other, so they don't show up too often, but whenever they do, all hell breaks loose, because they are all the worst enemies to show up with. You've got the Unchained Chomp, you've got the Spike shows up a lot with these as well, but all types of nippers, all types of patuis. They don't show up in any other enemy set, but they will show up together, and it's very painful. I'm sure now that I've mentioned that, that's something Fred's probably going to work on, going, need to randomize the enemies a bit better.
Can those pop up less? Can we do that?
No, see, they'll pop up less, but they'll show up in more stages, if that makes sense. Like, they won't show up as in you'll get like 6 in the same stage, but they'll end up showing up in more individual stages as solos. That's what's going to happen.
Fred just starts putting them in forts. Like, this isn't even right. I'm not supposed to be here.
Instead of a Podobo, he just puts a platform with a fire dipper at the bottom of it instead. Oh dear. I guess that shows how much I like 3-2, because we just tore straight through that. But now, is this one 5? Is this one? I think it's one of the middles, the World 5 ones.
Yeah, and the Hammer Bro and coin ship layout being interesting again. It looks like Cavin's coin ship right now is blocking his path down. This could move, obviously, but it'll be interesting to see if he ends up playing an extra Hammer Bro because of the pathing here.
Yeah. Oh, nice. It's a shame, in a way, that he lost his fire before then. Hey, we got regular tanks this time. So this will have a random hammer bro and a random item at the end of it. I don't think this item is attached to the same thing as the hand levels. I think this is an entirely separate item.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because in vanilla, it's a star, right? And the hand levels give you leaf, super leaves?
Exactly. Yeah, I kind of equate these to the Piranha levels in World 7. Those also have kind of randomized items separate for one another.
Right. That's a nice fire flower from it, though, so... Okay, we see a bridge that needs built, which shouldn't really matter. Yeah, it's... I don't think that's going to be too relevant, but I'm pretty sure the other block is, as before, it's going to be in front of Wendy here, so... we'll just have to see where that shows up. Like, which one needs to clear that. Bit late for the hammer at this point, I think. We would have needed 2 of them for the start of this world. A little bit of an early timing on the sledge bro hit from HUmanMustard there.
Yeah. Oh, and there's the second hammer. Interesting. Yeah, kind of tricky with the earthquake bros right there. And you have the shallow water. If you're small Mario, you could actually paddle and you won't actually be affected by the earthquakes. But you're also small Mario dealing with hammers raining down on you, so
yep.
It's a tricky little section. Hammer bros.
Surprise, surprise! We need to do a fort for it. I think they're doing different forts here. This is interesting. Yeah, because HUmanMustard's in 6F1, whereas Cavin's just gone through 3F1, which I guess it was the earlier fort in the world, so that's a pseudo thread, right? Because it's in World 3. Oh, but Cavin's got it right this time.
Yep,
so
doesn't build the bridge, so knows he's good.
Yep. So that's definitely a heads-up sort of thing when you're looking at this. Is you wanna work out, okay, where are the locks, and then if I need to break one, is it easy to see where the other ones are, so that I can work out, I can just work it out without having to do both forts. Once again, not going for fire kill here. You'd think, nah. I mean, it's only 2 hits, so it works out, but it's
probably
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's quite a decent lead for Cavin at this point. good peace feed strats through 3F1 for HUmanMustard here.
Door 6 required. Yeah.
It actually took me way too long to end up realizing that door 5 actually has an item that you can potentially use in that one. I think it was one of the races at Pro who got it and got a star out of it and managed to kill Boom Boom with that. It was like, oh, that's really cool. I should maybe remember that.
Yeah, Hydra, that's exactly right. In the previous flags that we used for the group stages, you had the ability to have hammers break locks, and that really plays vital into your overworld routing. Ooh, just a missed input right there from Cavin, and a very unfortunate death.
Yep, that will significantly eat into his lead because we know HUmanMustard is no stranger to using peace feed strats in that stage, so he's going to fly through this one. Also not going for the fire kill. I mean, it kind of makes sense with the World 5 ship layout. Wendy can sometimes just decide she's going to run up the platform instantly and you get surprised by it. So it kind of makes sense. It's just you always expect that people are going to go for the fire kill when they have the option, just because Wendy doesn't jump until you hit her the first time, and that's what makes it more dangerous. So
Yes.
The main thing that happened to HUmanMustard is he took a wrong turn in the last world there, and also there was a stage that Cavin got to cloud over because he had an extra one from a Hammerbro in World 6. Ooh.
Yeah, because somewhat evened him up on clouds, having to get that extra one from the Hammer Bro. Not something you could really depend on as a play, but a play that ended up happening. Mustard again showing off some nice speed strats through the.
I think I figured out why I haven't tried to do that myself yet. It's because you're forced to take a damage boost at the start, and that can be very awkward for this stage. But, I mean, it's worked every time for him so far, so definitely worth a look in, that's for sure. You can also kind of see by the point total here, just like the amount of level difference that's been played. There's at least 2, maybe 3 levels difference in terms of how many they've played so far. Oh, HUmanMustard's probably going to get an edge out of this one.
Yes, that's going to be a cloud to be used right there. I guarantee it. If he doesn't, absolutely I'll sub to the channel. there's absolutely no way Mustard doesn't cloud past this. I guarantee.
It's had a little bit of trouble in 5F1 here, but it's still been pretty solid. So the only real hazard with 5-9 is that you have to make sure you kill any fire chomps that come up immediately, because if they stay on screen, they are going to despawn a platform, and you usually can't recover from that. Oh, that's unfortunate as well. That's a fire flower from the anchor too. Yikes.
Yep. And there he goes.
So that evens it up again, and they're now cloud neutral. So that's a great heads up play from Cavin there, just making sure before using the hammer as to whether or not it would actually be useful. And Frogsuit into the World 6 action. That's going to slow him down quite a bit.
So I just subbed anyways, because, whatever.
But there you go. That's how it's done. So we're evened up again here, for sure.
Both Big Mario, both starred going into their fight right here.
What happened on Cavin's side there? Did he just short the jump?
I think so. I think it's a combination of the star giving you that front flipping animation, and yeah, I think he just shorted the jump, so he ran to the face as opposed to the head, the very top of the head of him right there. That's you hate to see that, but still living, still getting through, and yeah. Do you smell what the Thump is cooking?
You cannot star kill a Koopa Kid, no. They are programmed to not take damage from that. Oh, I bet that fort is going to be needed at the bottom there. That's really annoying. Ooh. And Pipe Island as well. Okay. Every single square is a pipe on this one. I've just noticed that. That's ridiculous.
And yeah, you only have that one pipe to that southwest island right there for that fort. So that'll be interesting. If that becomes necessary, you're going to see just a lot of overworld pipe navigation probably from these two runners. Oh, and you get the nothing pipe right there on Cavin's side.
Okay, so that, I mean, it's interesting he's got a note block to get through that, as we see Air Force here. So, ooh, rare slip too. He's still got one tick of this, but now that note block is going to run out before he can get back to the pipe. So that's unfortunate. What was I going to say? There's 2 locks at the end, but there was only 1 pipe that goes to the end of the world, right? I think I only saw 1 pipe on the final island.
That might be correct, because, yeah, the pipes are being used pretty heavily otherwise.
So this is, like, the worst World 7 I can imagine, really, because there's 1 pipe that goes to a fort that could well be needed to finish this, and there's just 1 pipe that goes to the end as well. So finding the very specific things here, it could be locked behind levels. There is one at the top right here that could be necessary.
And there was a pipe, I believe, behind a level on the first island.
Yes,
and
there was.
And it looks like there's actually 2 pipes to the end islands here. They will have a little bit more option, but that would have been exciting if that was the case. Just to have to make that navigation. And another one you'd really potentially want to cloud, but Mustard's it is what it is, so I'm just gonna have to run through it.
Here's a general take for you. 5.3 is usually slower than 5.9.
I believe it. Just this is essentially 2 levels in one, I feel. Because it's just this C-shaped level that you go all the way left, and then you go all the way right. And there's enough enemies and stuff to annoy you, and it's not.
Yeah, because there's a lot of spinies that get transformed in this, so they, like, any enemy set can be here and can be really nasty, and then you can get stuff like this, where there's a stupid... Oh, wow. Speaking of annoying levels, 7-5 on the other side. I didn't actually see where Cavin went to get in here, but there's a lot of fire going on in this stage.
I completely thought Mustard was going to be taking a death right there in a really bad spot, but just somehow didn't. Any a little extra lag there for.
Oh god. Yep. I could see it going. Oh, and the level HUmanMustard didn't work. Oh, he went for that pipe. Okay.
Yeah, and Cavin's going for it. He's P-winging through this. A really good item to use through this level. And he's really banking on this pipe being the one. Really banking.
Well, I mean, he took the game over at the start, so he is already in desperation mode the whole time. He doesn't know that it's actually a lot closer than you'd think, but he already thinks he's like 4 minutes behind or so, and so he's having to go for it. It looks like he's probably right, too.
And Mustard seeing the level that you... this is big. This has... because Mustard's going to have those extra pipe transitions. This is actually the exact opposite of what happened in our previous race. Mustard had flight through this, so he's able to make it a little bit shorter. Cavin,
gone. Yeah, he got through that super well. Did we see all the pipes on the South Island then?
I believe so, and I believe they also checked all the ones on the north. So
yeah, well, HUmanMustard did. Yeah. So what I think then has to happen, like there were 2 pipes here, right? This one has to go there, but you have to do the other fort, which has got to be through this pipe if we've checked all the other ones.
Yeah, that's it.
I did say
nasty law.
I did say this level was going to be necessary. It was like, I could just feel it. It's one of those, you just look at it and go, oh yeah, the randomizer's going to do that to you. See, 3-3 over here. No P-speed strats this time because the tail is in play, but I don't think Cavin's going to complain about that right now. Because he just hit a massive break off of this by not having to check at least 3 pipes, I think, through the rest of this. HUmanMustard going for the clip here. I don't blame him going for it a couple of times. You need to be about 3 tiles away, I think, floor tiles in order to get that. As we see 2F on the other side here. It's not usually too bad of a level. Sometimes the crazy feet get in the way because they just move in really weird spots, but So
Yeah,
we might
definitely. They're gonna
see-
catch you on
Oh,
the
God.
stairs or something.
Yeah. Might see a clip attempt here. Although, might want to get rid of that guy first. Oh no, he's not going to be too much in the way. So I was doing a little bit of figuring out with this. I think you want to jump from basically where HUmanMustard's made a hole in the bridge there. If you've got P-Speed, you want to jump at that point. There you go. Roughly from underneath the third tile seems to be where you get the clip from that. So yeah, what a harrowing world this has been now.
Absolutely. This actually might be one of the crazier World 7s I've ever seen in this random.
We're finishing off with the World 3 airship. Not the one you want to see for Ludwig here, but you'll just have to make do.
And I guess I cursed this from the beginning because I claimed that there was no way that we would have as bad of a seed as what we had this last run for these guys. We are 36 minutes through, and Cavin is just getting his fight done right now, on Ludwig there. So, whoops, sorry. I apologize to Mustard and Cavin, even though they can't hear me.
Well, Cavin is the first through the 7 worlds, so that's definitely an advantage for him, but we'll see how World 8 goes. We have seen many a time the Great Equalizer pulling off the craziest of stuff. Let's see what it has in store this time.
And this is an opposite scenario right here from where we were last race. Mustard ended up actually getting through first, and Cavin made a big amount of huge amount of time up, just based on how he ended up going through the pipes instead of doing a what was going to be a fort check, but ended up just being a regular level through the tank there. So we'll see how this works out.
Okay, I want to say that the fort that's behind the lock there is very likely to be required. It's obviously not guaranteed, but we see 2 locks already. There's a reasonable chance that there's maybe only 1 bridge to build, and I wonder if that fort's going to be it. Because we don't have the immediate break there, so... Yep, so the smart play here, we don't know whether that tank is the stage or the fort, so... This one, is definitely smart in this case. So this is a much more reasonable one to go for, because even if this was the level and you clear it, you've got 2 pipes behind that you know where they are, so you can always say, well, this might have been necessary to reach Bowser in the first place.
Couple nifty moves there by Cavin, able to keep his flight. Good job right there.
Yeah.
Not easy to do with those disco waffles sometimes.
Nope. Very, very well played from that. That's something I can just about do the first fly, but I definitely can't do the second one well. So kudos to him for that. Yep. So check out the pipes immediately in front. You don't want to go back to the start out of nothing. Hey, there's 1 bridge. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the fort at the start, but we don't know if we've got access to it yet. We might have broke the other lock that's in front of the pipe there.
Oh, and a couple hand bridge pipes connecting to one another right there, so you could avoid 8-2 altogether.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll see if Cavin ends up going back to the first screen there to see what he unlocked, and it looks like he will.
Yep. There's a very high chance you've broken at least one of the locks here, and this could advance. It's not the right one, though. But this could go to the other side and skip the tank level that he's trying to bypass here. And it does. So now we have... Yeah, this is fort number 3. This has to break the lock that the brick fort is blocking. And that will be the one that we need to do Bowser. So Cavin has his route. He knows what he's doing for this now. HUmanMustard is in beta level, which... Did he go into the tank? He must have gone in the tank.
I believe
here,
so,
right?
yeah.
This could work out, though.
Well, what ended up happening here, and the funny thing is, Mustard couldn't take a death here if he wanted to, because there is no enemy in this beta level. So, yeah, just swim on up.
That's why I don't like the level. I said before, I don't like it because of that. But this now means he has potentially, depending... Yeah, there's a pipe there, so he's got a clear path to this fort. He still has to do the tank level, but this could actually save him a little bit of time overall. He's again showing his superb P-Speed strats through that stage. Absolutely awesome. As 8 Fort is our official gatekeeper here. Cavin's gonna hope to be able to get the 1 cycle here, but when you're big, it's really difficult to do because you've got that slightly longer animation. Yeah, you've got a little bit of a longer animation in taking damage there compared to going from fire to otherwise. Oh, HUmanMustard getting caught by the other block though. That's a shame. But yeah, nicely done on Cavin's end. Gets his final fort done.
Oh, and there you go. And Mustard is going to have it right there. This is going to come down to the wire.
Cavin just needs to not make a mistake, and he has this, because HUmanMustard's still got an extra stage to do in the hand bridge in order to make it to the right pipe. But this could... I mean... Mistakes can happen. We saw both of them were a little bit timid in Puzzle Castle to start with in the first seed, so you never know. Does have that handy fire suit though, so the hammer suit that he didn't get originally hasn't mattered too much. I'm surprised he went for that because that does have a chance of hitting you.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Cavin actually had that fire flower right there because I know Mustard still has their hammer suit, so that was going to be a big factor, but.
Looking at the inventory spot, that must have been from Bowser in the previous world, because that was at the very end of his inventory. Because in Randomizer, unlike in Vanilla and Rando, you actually do get an item from the World 7 card as well, you just don't get to see it.
And here we got Cavin going into their fight. Let's see if they get this fire kill. I believe 35. Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, what?
No.
Bowser, please.
Right.
Yeah, he didn't get the jump at the start to go over Bowser, so he didn't really have much of a scope. But even despite that, he still has a commanding edge here. He just needs to not falter for the rest of this fight and just get it done. Bowser has not fully developed his Bowser Bomb yet. He's still in the prototyping phase, and he hasn't quite got the hitboxes fixed yet, so you can kind of stand underneath him during this fight. As HUmanMustard clears up the final fort that he needs to do.
Whew,
and there we go. He's down. Just needs to not walk to the left. As much as I hate making jokes on that, we have seen in other similar randomizer tournaments that people have fallen off at the very final hurdles, even when everything else is cleared, but not this time. GG's to Cavin, finishing with an official SRL time of 42:45. We are going to Game 3.
Alright, GG's to Cavin. Well played.
Fantastic playthrough. I mean, he almost wanted to quit after that game over on the first world. I don't blame him. And
absolutely amazing, actually, to come all the way back from a game over to start. It almost, you know, I think there are definitely a good amount of us that would, you know, pretty much not care at that point. But Cavin kept going at it, and really, really an impressive win.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. And take nothing away from HUmanMustard too. This was really close, despite some of the missteps in World 7. This was still really, really close. Finishing with an official SRL time of 43:39, so just under a minute difference. So, hopefully we get a slightly quicker seed this time, right?
It's gotta be this time, right? There's no way. No way they'd have as bad a seed as these first two ones.
Mr. Tap, are you trying to invoke some reverse psychology here?
You know, we've just been seeing such a high level of play that I want to see these guys play for another 40 plus minutes, basically, so... Yeah,
Alright, well, we'll get the race room set up again, and we will be back in a couple of minutes.
All right. Hope you guys got your water, got a drink ready. Use the restroom real quick because we are into game 3 of an awesome Friday morning matchup here between HUmanMustard and Cavin856. I not a lot of players would be able to make a comeback like Cavin did. Taking a game over in World 1 and just continuing to battle back. And really, by the time we got to World 6 or so, they were neck and neck. They were trading first place, between each other. So I have no idea what to expect here. I'm actually hoping they don't get another 40+ minute one, but we see what happened when I said that last time. So
Yeah, I mean, these two definitely have the talent to do the same sort of 30 to 35 minute seeds that we've been seeing from so many of these races. And I kind of want them to be able to show that this time. I think we've had two incredibly long seeds, and it's nice to see some of the, I guess, extended play that they can do. But I think at the same time, we want to see what these guys are truly capable of. We want to see that as fast as they can go as well. So let's see if we can give them a cool one this time. So as far as what you're about to watch, this is Game 3 of the Super Mario Bros. Randomizer tournament, between Cavin and HUmanMustard here. We are in the round of 16 at the moment, and whoever wins this one moves on. It's definitely a scary time for both of them, actually. I know they both really want to progress with this. Super Mario Bros. 3, as a randomizer, you have different enemies within the levels. You have different levels in location. Like 1-1 could be 6-5, as just a good example. All the forts are in random spots as well. We're playing with map shuffle as well, so all of the overworld icons, the stages, the forts, the pipes, they are all in different locations as well. And the Hammer Bros will give you different items too, but they are also entirely different fights from what they normally are. You can have Boomerang Bros on the 2 platform sets, or Sledge Bros with water underneath them. Lots of scary stuff can show up. But the idea is to just do this Warpless to finish the game as quick as you can without the aid of warp whistles, since we have removed those. And as far as the bracket stage goes, we do not have the end card game. That would normally be a randomized thing as well with random items, but that is not part of the bracket stage here. So I have to go with fewer safety items than you used to. And the locks will not be breakable by hammers like they are in typical randomizer stuff. We're going back to vanilla behavior there as well. So that puts a lot more emphasis on clearing the forts, because that's the only way that you can break locks to proceed to the end of the world at this point.
yeah, there's certain logic as far as what forts are valuable. We brought this up in the previous race. A fort, like one fort that has the ability to gain an item out of it instead of actually getting the orb, will never be a required fort to breaking a lock that gets the to the airship or something like that. So then you have kind of that extra layer of, is it worth it to get the item instead of beating that fort? If you get that fort somewhere, do I just take a death, that sort of thing. So always interesting to see how these guys end up laying out, moving around these overworlds.
Right. For a platformer, there's a surprising amount of depth to and logic to this because of the overworld map. So it isn't, as you say, well, the World 1 fort is an interesting case because there's actually an item there. And if you get the item, it doesn't break the lock, which there's logic in place so that every stage is beatable. Not necessarily every square on the map is possible to reach, because you might say if the World 3 or the World 1 fort could actually lock a mushroom house, as an example, that you wouldn't ever get to. But that's not the stage, so that's totally fine. But every stage has to be beatable, and if you don't have to clear a fort to get to the end of the world, you might well have to do a couple of extra stages to skip that fort. That's usually the way it goes. So there's a lot of strategy involved in that, actually, and we saw that come into play, especially in the pipe maze in the last seed. That was a big swing in tempo between the two, and that's
here we go.
yeah, we've got
Think
the
we're gonna send
countdown
it.
done. Let's do this.